Hello and welcome to Pratik Chess Videos.
Hello, just friends. Today we're going to see a game between. Well, this game was between the. See, so when you think of attack,
Mikhail
what do you firstly remember? Tal, Kasparov. Well, I my case is that I remember Tal because Tal just amazing player. He every time crushes. I mean, he just crushes his opponents by attack. That's so interesting to watch. I mean, you are his opponent, alright. Next on the attack is your opponent. So, let's start the game. This game was between Tal and Portisch in the year 1965. Amazing game by Tal. Tal literally sacrificed a full rook in the candidates event. I mean, it's not surprising that Tal sacrificed a full rook, but it's surprising that he sacrificed it in the candidates. Now that is really, really risky because candidates are like the biggest events in the world, the biggest event in the world, one of the biggest. After World Championship, candidates take second place. World Cup, World Championship candidates third place. So that's why it's very surprising that he sacrificed a whole rook in the candidates. But he did and he got amazing results by it. So let's start the game. The game started e4, c6, now d4. So e4, c6, knight c3 was played in this game. This line is, I don't know. This line may be the two knights. Yeah, two knights. d5 knight f3, yeah, the two knights variation in the Caro Khan. D into e4, knight into e4, bishop to g4. This is one of the more active variations in the Caro. So h3, bishop into f3, queen into f3. Idea of queen into f3 is to play bishop c4 and attack on f7. So that's why after queen into f3, it was played. Yeah. Uh, so see, queen into f3 was a nice move. G into f3, Tal played against Botvinnik, but in that game he had a pawn on e4. Yeah, in that case he had a pawn on e4, so that's why just queen into f3, playing cool. Now knight d7. Idea is knight gf6, normal idea. So now d4, b3. Well, I like this unorthodox unorthodox line. I mean, bishop b2, and also Stockfish suggests it. b3. It's kind of unorthodox but nice. So d4. Idea of d4 is limiting the knight on d7 and taking the squares e5 and and c5. So after d4, knight gf6, and then bishop to d3. Idea is to defend the knight on e4, which will result in greater efficiency of the position. Because after bishop to d3, we can also short castle and it just results in good position. So that's why after bishop to d3, it's played knight into e4, and now queen into e4, e6, and then short castle. Idea is f4, f5, And after short castle, bishop to e7, and then c3. Idea is, well, bishop to f4 and rook to e1, and here knight to f6 was played, attacking e4, and now after knight to f6 it is played queen h4 and then knight to d5, attacking on h4. So after knight to d5 attacking h4 it is played queen to g4, and now g7 is under attack. So now after queen to g4, bishop to f6, defending g7. Short castle is looks like a good move, but it's actually a mistake. The most obvious move is actually a tactical error because of bishop to h6, bishop to f6, and then this queen e4. Sorry, not queen f4. Queen e4 comes. Attacking h7, queen into h7 is mate, and if you play g6, I'll just take your rook. I mean, g6 is forced, and bishop into f8. Say bye bye to a rook. So white wins an exchange. So in the game, it was played rook to e1 and then queen to b6. Mistake. The queen is active here, but she abandons her king. So that's why this is a mistake. Queen to e7. That would have been a good move. Tal would only have a small plus advantage in this case. I mean like 0.50 or something. But as we always know, no. Queen to b6. We do a mistake. And Tal punishes it by c4. First, this is an interesting move. Tal doesn't start punishing. This is too much actually and not that necessary. But spoiler, now I'll not say anything. Just say this is too much and not necessary because I don't want to spoil. So knight to b4, and now pause the video and think what should you play. Now it was played rook into e6. Brilliant move, brilliant, absolutely amazing, stunning. So a stunning sacrifice, and after the committal c4, this is objectively the best move available. So absolute, so amazing move, absolute trickery, witchcraft. So now after rook into e6 check, king to f8 fails miserably. I'll show you why in a few seconds. F into e6 was played in the game. King to f8 fails because of rook into f6. So king to f8 is like a blunder. This rook into f6 comes, and after g into f6, g into f6 is just very bad, because if you play g into f6, then bishop h6 check, king to e7, king to e8, or king to e7, then rook to e1 check comes, and it's just over. So now so that's why here white is winning. So in the game, after rook into e6, f into e6, queen into e6 check. Yup, king to f8, and then king to f8 is actually dubious. And then firstly variation. So bishop e7. This looks very good. I mean this looks like it just stops all of the attack in its tracks. But you can never have a guarantee with Tal. Bishop to g6 check. brilliant move ends the game. But how? So well, this move is an absolutely amazing wrinkle that improves on the idea of bishop to g5. So bishop to g5 is originally a mistake because queen to c7 comes, and after queen to c7 there's the move rook to e1. But after rook to e1, knight into d3, bishop into e7, queen to d7, wizard e, and then black is just winning because black defended well, defends and wins. So now after so we see that how this is bad. But what's the idea of bishop to g6 check then? We'll find out, won't we? Let's find out. H into g6. Now, oh, whoops, not queen into g6, not falling for that. Bishop g5, queen c7, rook e1. Notice something? Yeah, we can't take a bishop on d3. But is that the defining matter? I think not. So the idea of this whole point, and the whole point is that after queen to d7, queen into d6, queen into g6 check comes and it's over. So we just needed a square to check the king so that we can take the piece, and we got one. That's the idea, and white is totally winning. So well, after bishop to g6 check, the best move in the position is actually to, sorry, not the best move. See, so this ends it. Alright, so bishop to g6 check, and then what to do? H into g6, and that's why. So bishop to g6, one variation can be to play king to d8, which is a mistake. So king to d8 is a mistake because, well, this king is very inactive there. So also this reaches in the line of fire, as this d file can be opened with just a simple move. But most importantly, bishop f5 wins. Queen to d7 mate is coming. So after bishop to f5, then there's queen into d4 is one variation in which we reach bishop to f4. But after bishop to f4, white has a very dangerous and sound attack. So we'll just leave this on a cliffhanger and say unclear. And after bishop to f5, if queen to c7, then just bishop to f4, queen to c8, and then, well, queen into f4 results in queen to d7. Wait, you don't want to go that path. So that's why after queen to c8, it's played mm, queen to e4, and then winning, totally winning, traps the queen and ends it. So now here in this game, now we'll see what happened. So after the best move actually, after all of this is over, so the best move actually, instead of king to f8, which was a dubious move, was to play king to d8, which is a good move. So now after king to d8, queen to d6 check, king to e8 because king c8 results in bishop to f5 mate. Now After king to d8, queen to d6, check king to e8. Now we play queen to e6. So see, queen to e6, check king to d8, and basically we have to repeat. Alright, we have to just repeat, and this is equal. So let's go to the game now. After king to f8, bishop to f4, threatening bishop to d6, check. Now rook to d8, stopping this. So queen to d8 leads to rook e1, and it's very bad from there. c5, this wins the queen, but only for a host of pieces. Rook e1 is a blunder because of queen into d4 and c5. So now knight into d3, after c5, because we want to take a piece, and c into b6. Bishop h6 is a funny idea, interesting. If you take, then I take, and if you move your queen, then it's just queen into f6. Funny. So it's interesting, but c into b6 is also good. Now queen knight into f4, queen to g4. We gave. Wait a minute. Black has one rook and two pieces. How will we win this game? Damn. So knight to d5, b into a7. The odds are looking very bad for white, and they are. King to e7. g6 would leave the game very undecided. I guess it's just slightly better for black. Yeah. So king to e7, b4, and then rook to a8, rook e1 check, king to d6, and then well, b5, and then rook into a7, which finally results in a blunder, the last and losing slip. Well, it is hard to hold off Tal's attacks. Yeah, you got that right. So after rook to e6 check, king to c7, rook into f6. Game over. Now this ends. Tal will pretty move. Good move it is. Now Tal will win material with the check on g7. So it's time to resign. Ting tong, ting tong. So what's the idea? Well, so rook into f6 idea is that if you play knight into f6, queen into g7 check, lose the rook, g into f6, queen g7 check, lose the rook. So that's why after rook into f6, it was resignation. Yes, sir. Now, amazing game by Dal. Well, amazing, just overwhelming sacrifice on e6 that was like godly. I mean, like, rook into e6 was amazing. So, alright, this was the game. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.